8:15.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the beginning of a new way of living. It's Younger Life.
Welcome to another great edition of Younger Life Live. We're on the road today at the LaPorte County Public Library. Let me hear you guys make some noise. Come on. You know, it's more than just a library, Mary Anthony. It is really neat to be here, and I'm thinking about all the different things that we could do at our libraries to live younger longer.
Absolutely. You know, we love the library. We love to come to the library, but even looking at the things we're going to be looking at today is something that I knew nothing about. So
the library is so much more than books.
I know. I'm interested in this concept of the Sparks Lab.
Yes, Spark Labs, firing up everybody's minds throughout the community.
Not only that, I'm sitting in here and there's so many great professionals and people that are making this happen. It is so different. The libraries of today, the different things that people of all ages could do. You want to just say step out of your zone and really get involved. Christy Chatterton is here with us, and of course she is well involved with the library and she's got so much great insight. But you know, your thing about Spark Labs, we really want to chat about some of the neat things you have going, and I think the first place to start is, what is a Spark Lab?
Well, Spark Labs is a maker space. We discovered, we've been doing some research with through our director, and there's a definite skills gap in the community, and we wanted to make sure that our services that we provide reached out and grabbed that skills gap that we had. So soft skills, the employers in the community were lacking soft skills in their applicants, and our director found that we had a way to do that and to meet that goal, and so we implemented our initiative Spark Labs.
Oh, I love it. I do. I think it's so important to point out. Rick makes fun of me because I like the homework aspect, but you know, like research studies show how incredible for the brain it truly is to learn new skills at any age. And it's so important to step out of that little bit of comfort zone like you were talking about, and maybe, you know, we're going to take a look at some really cool things, but try to learn them, not just see how cool they are, try to learn them. And a little, I'll tell you honestly, a little bit, it's intimidating to myself to see some of these things and think, yeah, I'm not real good with computer stuff, but I would love to learn, and I think it's so important.
Stepping out of that normal place in life and saying, you know, I'm going to go to my library, you know, and if you haven't been to your local library, especially the LaPorte County Public Library, where there's multiple branches, there's always something going on, and it's for people of all ages. I really, really enjoy that. So without further ado, let's kind of segue over to, and I would love for you to introduce some of our next guests here, Christy, and let's chat a little bit, and we're going to take you through the next hour on different things that we're doing, you know, in and around the area and with you here at the LaPorte County Public Library.
I'd love that. I'd love that. Well, first I'd like to introduce our volunteer extraordinaire, as I call him. He's a true advocate of the LaPorte County Public Library and our mission here with Spark Labs, Earl Adams. Earl, it was by chance that Earl was able to meet our director, Fonda Owens.
Destiny.
It was destiny. They met at a chance luncheon, and literally sparks flew with imagination and what we could bring to the community, and kind of how we came up with Spark Labs also, just, you know, just another little coincidence. So Earl, really, he had been going around to area employers looking at what they were lacking in their applicants and skills that they were not seeing when the applicants rolled in, and how a small community could fix that problem. So Earl is a very techie guy. Many of you know him, and he has a lifelong love affair with making anyway, so it was just a natural transition for him to bring this kind of information to us and really be our mentor as we stepped out and took the leap and tried to bring a makerspace to LaPorte County Public Library.
Yeah, makerspace. Tell us a little bit about Earl.
I love that.
So I'm Earl Adams,
Yes.
and I've been making things since I took a shop class in 7th grade. That's when I started, and I've been making technical items and woodworking and metalworking since that time. My career was I was a biomedical engineer for about 8 years. I was a IT director for about 10 years. I had my own company for 10 years where we worked with doctors' offices and we did computer consulting for them. We also did some local tool and die shops and some industrial places, so we worked on a lot of unusual equipment and mainly hooking it up, making it work, that kind of stuff. So my last job was CIO of the hospital. Again, computer systems, big computer systems, and working with people and teaching people how to use really complex software. So it's all about teaching people how to do stuff that they really don't think they can do. Many people are very intimidated by that stuff, but part of our goal here at Spark Lab is to make stuff that might seem a little intimidating really fun. So you really can't fail on it. Fail is actually part of what we do. You know, we do that and you learn. So that's a maker mentality. You got to be persistent. You've got to have a lot of patience, and you have to keep trying.
I'm so happy that, you know, we have surrounded ourselves today with folks that are going to give us that insight. Let's take a look at some of the things that you are going to be presenting to us, because I want you to all take a look at this, you know, these different apparatuses and kind of describe, if you wouldn't mind, Earl, some of these things, what they are, because for the first time I'm actually seeing some of these different things. I'm loving what they look like, but I just don't know what they do.
So all of this stuff that we're working on is based on there's an acronym called STEAM. It stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math. And when one of my mentors and I went around LaPorte, Mr. Lee Morris, we talked to a lot of the industries. They all have needs for those skills. You know, I needed to be able to do math, spreadsheets, computers. They need to be able to work together. They need to be able to run and maintain complex equipment. We have a lot of stuff in LaPorte like that. So all of them are based on STEAM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math. So that's kind of one of our founding goals that we have. So everything that we teach and work with is really interesting STEAM stuff. So this table right here is fairly new stuff. This is stuff that we recently acquired, but this is about robotics. And we have a couple of goals for that too. We make stuff portable, so we can move to multiple different locations and teach it. We also have, we cover all age groups with this stuff. So this first one right here is called a dash robot, and we'll do a little demo in just a second. This is for younger people, although we have found that people of all ages really like it. But a person with a 4 or 5 year old could sit down and actually program this robot to do things if they want.
Children in that age group,
Yeah.
so that would be
So-
fascinating.
Plus it's fun and it looks fun.
I was going to say, I love the look.
Kind of the next level up is this.
Check this out, Mary.
This little ball.
I'm digging this
Spiro.
big time.
This
Now
little ball.
explain what is lit up in there? What does this ball represent? What is it?
Well, this is a robot that you control with your. This is a robot too. This is a robot that you control with your cell phone or
Really?
iPad. And it connects to your device via like Bluetooth, and it's got motors in the bottom of it here, and it's got a gyroscope in it. It's got
Are we
accelerometer.
going to be able to see this little guy in
Oh,
action?
sure.
Because I'm kind of
Sure.
liking this, because this could be good to.
We have a we have a Sphero robot expert here with us today.
Get out of here. Did you say that I'm going to be able to drive this myself?
Absolutely,
Yes.
Are we ready?
Are you ready for this? I'm up for the challenge. Okay, let's
All
do
right.
this. Wow.
So
So
here's,
Jenny Minnick, our branch and outreach librarian.
Hi,
is gonna
Jenny.
help
hi.
you.
So this is an iPad.
Come on over here, Mary
That's already
Anthony.
linked to our Sphero
Okay.
with Bluetooth. So the first thing you need to do is aim your Sphero.
So I'm going to show this real quick because I want folks to see. It's very simple. It's the look of it's cool.
It
So
looks like a game.
okay,
It
so
looks
Jenny,
very
could you
cool.
describe now what we are looking at? Because I'm looking at this for the first time.
So you're looking at the control panel. There are
Okay.
several different apps that connect with Sphero. This is the basic app. It's just called Sphero. So the first thing you do when you connect your Sphero, you need to orient it.
Okay.
So this is the aim button, and as you hold it down, you'll see that a blue light lights up on the Sphero.
You see that blue light down
So
there,
we
Mary?
want that blue light to point at you because you're controlling the Sphero.
That is awesome.
So that he's aimed correctly. So I've got that pointed at you. And now this is the control panel that you'll use to drag it to move the Sphero. what's our speed setting? We're on turtle, so he's not moving very
Let's-
fast.
let's
We
make
need-
it a rabbit.
We need to go towards the rabbit, because I
Okay.
think you want to drive fast, right?
Right. So I'm holding it.
You just touch it down and drag it.
Oh, I so love this. This is like for big kids like me.
It is, and they're
I could sit here all day and do this.
There's some really advanced projects
Here, Mary,
that kids can
you
do
try it.
with physics using these
I'm
Sphero
gonna step back
robots as
just
well.
a minute.
Really?
Look at
Well, I
that.
don't wanna
Look at
run
that. Look at Mary. She's showing me.
I don't want to run anyone over. It's so neat.
So Jenny, so the technology obviously running wireless through this apparatus here, which is great. Mary's now controlling it and she's doing that. What are all, I see 3 missions, I see different numbers, I see different stuff set
There are
up.
different
Sorry.
games that are set up in the
You're it.
program. That's okay. The first time actually Earl brought his Sphero, we were at an assisted living in town. We were at Oakwoods Manor doing a demonstration with a 3D printer, and he had just gotten his own
over
Sphero
here.
and brought it in. And as I was driving it around, I was running into a lot of things. that
I would say
I
this would be
completely
fun.
There
understand.
you go. Woo!
This- you know what? This would be a great different way to approach tag.
Yes, I like
great.
that.
That would be great.
Without a bunch of
Going into the
ruckus
rooms and
in the
making them
house.
clean up.
You're
Right.
it.
But you can control the colors on your Sphero if you want to
Cool.
change his color.
How do
There's
we
a
do
little
that?
palette right there that
Okay,
you
so
touch.
go ahead, let's hit this together.
Can you see him? Where did he
Okay,
go?
right there.
Okay.
Oh,
So neat.
look at this,
So
like
wherever
rainbow
you touch
colors.
on that circle, you can change the color.
Check that
of your
out.
Sphero.
Oh my
So I
goodness,
just
it's
checked
so
that.
fun.
Okay, we're gonna throw that color in there. I kind of like the red thing, obviously. Look at this. This is absolutely beautiful. Why don't you pick that
It's
color?
just so neat.
Pick
I
that
love it.
color.
I'm gonna go with
I
good old
want this.
pink.
Can I get this for like my birthday?
You sure? These are actually very affordable. I think these run about $150. I sort of wanted one, so I bought one for my son.
Okay, so Earl, do you create this or does it come assembled like this?
No, this particular one is not a kit. So as Jenny mentioned, there's different applications
Sure.
for it. So this is one of the most basic ones.
Okay.
So there's other more advanced ones that actually you can program it. You can say roll 36 inches, turn right, and do a maze, stuff like that. And that teaches people of all ages, again, how to code, with loops and
That's so
start,
neat.
stop, things like that. So
This is
so
incredible.
what's fun about it is you learn how to code by accident. And it's fun, you know what I mean? So that's the
Are you-
that's how
That's the
Are
key
you
to
good?
learning something
Right.
new anyways, I think.
I agree. I could
think
actually
so.
do this at a heartbeat and
I think that's great.
I'm a big
I-
kid.
And I think
you need
Lydia
one of
has.
those.
I
gonna
love
say,
it.
I'm interested.
I want one of those.
I'm
big
interested
time.
for Lydia to show us this really cool little
Yes.
robot.
This
here.
is Lydia Daniels, the youth service librarian here.
All right, so I'm going to show you Dash, and I used this robot at our preschool story time on Friday. So this was age group, was about, some might have been an older end of 3 to 4 and 5. They worked with their caregivers to use our iPads, and these are also synced via Bluetooth. So I actually have him synced right now. The robot himself is called Dash, but we named this particular robot Dewey Bob. So-
Dewey Bob. Is there any significance to Dewey Bob?
Dewey Bob is actually a book character by
cool.
Judy Schnatzer, I believe, is the author's last name. So it's a fun book. We asked our tech services to name this one, so they
Okay.
chose Dewey Bob. We have 3 other robots that also have unique names, but he also has a control panel within the apps. There's 4 apps we use that are free from Wonder Workshop. They're the company that produces these robots. And this particular app is called Go, aptly named. And we can go ahead and put him down, and you can control Dewey Bob exactly the same way
Okay.
if you want to try.
Mary?
Sure.
Ladies?
All right,
love
so
to.
your remote control is this part right there. So
Okay.
he's facing
Is
this
he-
way, so when you hit forward, he's just gonna go forward.
Oh,
We're gonna run Brenda.
I'm liking this. This is incredible to me.
Yeah.
Oh, he is really
This
fun.
reminds me of the, and I hate to say it, bring back some of the youth, even the young kids of today, that
gotcha.
do the race cars, that, have the little remote control race cars, or,
Right.
Yep.
they've evolved a lot, but this is so excellent. So the application being, now you're talking about the preschool children and stuff like that. What are they using this for now? Now we're utilizing this in their workshops or their classes.
Right. So what I did, I can show you one of our other
Okay.
apps
Yeah, give it back.
Instead of just running
Give
you
it
over.
back.
with
Like
Dewey
this.
Bob. Is I chose an app called Path.
Okay.
And we can turn him around a little bit. And what I wanted to reinforce was not only that technology, but also literacy. So I did a special story time with robots. And then we talked about what letter robot starts with. So most of the kids I was visiting, they knew that it started with R. Actually, I'll turn this down for you a little bit.
I kind of like that.
And we're gonna
Lydia.
make sure that he's synced. So we're gonna just tap up here. And it's gonna search for him, and he should automatically go. So you can see there's the green check mark. He's already synced. So we're just gonna hit that, and I'm gonna pinch the screen so I can see a little bit more. And you can see that it's a grid, and what that grid represents is actually the size of Dewey Bob himself.
Really?
So if I want to actually put this in real life, a really easy way that they show in their videos is to put masking tape on one end of him and put masking tape on the other, and just keep drawing out your grid for yourself. So young kids can actually start understanding graphing by saying, well, he needs to drive down 7 and go across so many. But this time we're just gonna draw a letter, and I'm gonna draw the letter R for robots, what I did with the kids. So I'm gonna drive him down, drive him back up, go out, and then go back out for the leg. And now you see that he's blinking red on top and also red on his head. So we're just gonna tap him, and he's gonna drive it out on the ground, but he's also driving it in the app.
Holy cow.
Wow.
That is
So again, they're
wonderful.
programming, or, you know.
It's a very basic form of
Right.
programming where they understand that they did this, that it's a cause and effect. They did this, and he drove it. Now, if you want to get to something more complicated with kids, and it's even not that complicated, this is called Blockly. What you're
For Lydia, it's not very complicated.
and even for you guys, you're actually going to see that
So
what
far,
I did.
I'm holding on now.
Yeah.
What I did with my robot is I wanted to actually start the process of coding. Instead of these things where I would just control by remote, I'm actually going to write program to have him, when I hit the start button, he is going to, all of his lights, you see he's blue right now, all of his lights are going to turn red. He's going to turn in a circle to the right, and he's going to say hi, and then he's going to laugh. So it's just a basic form where I just pulled all of these in from the side. So you can see I can choose look. I could have him look up at you or look down. I could have him make other sounds, have him change different colored lights. But I kept it simple for this demonstration. So if you want to hit start for us in the bottom corner there. And he's
Hi. Oh. There you go. Big round of applause.
And he's a very sturdy robot. He can handle young children
Oh,
quite
good.
easily. So
That's a good
you don't have
point.
to worry too much about him breaking.
Every time we show these in the places that, the events that I've attended, we have people who, oh, where did you get that? Or they, oh, that'd be a great gift for
Right.
my grandkids. So you see people who are taking away from this and incorporating it into their home because there's so many things out there. How do you know that the one you're looking at is going to be good for you and your child and your environment, and will I know how to use it? And so we can serve as that resource. If you get it and you open the box and you're like,
Yeah.
call
No,
Lydia.
yeah, it's true. There's so
Come to one of
much.
Lydia's classes.
There's so much different options out there. STEAM is something that people throw around pretty loosely, and it's finding the right technologies to match up with that it is going to be a worthwhile educational resource.
All right, let's move on to the next piece. This is great. So we've seen a couple of different robots so far, but this is where I am so loving just the look of these. Now, this is called what?
This is called a Lego Mindstorm. So a lot of people that have never seen these, and they look at it and they go, that's not Lego, but it is, because it's got the Lego emblem on it. And we have what are called Lego Mindstorms education kits. So they use these in Lego competitions, and we just had a class yesterday with these where we had about 10 people, probably, Lydia, to the class, and they were from they were around 12 to 14 years old, and we started to teach them how to do basic programming on them using this graphical programming environment. So this is a little more advanced.
It is incredible.
But they were doing stuff, a number of things that they probably even shouldn't have been doing with these robots and programming, and they picked it up right away. Like, we had one gentleman, it was really, really fun. He said, watch this, and he pushes the button and he goes, it didn't work. And he goes, let me go back, try that again. Pretty soon he goes, yeah, I got it, I figured it out. So he's figuring out this code. So they run this, they do their programming on this product called LabVIEW, and LabVIEW is used locally even. It's used by scientists, or they use it to control processes in factories. So it looks just like this, the commercial version of it. So you can put these robots together in all different kinds of configurations, but what's really interesting about them is they have a number of sensors, and these sensors are used. The new things in the world now are cheap sensors, and they allow you to do all different kinds of things that you couldn't do just a couple of years ago. So, for example, here's a tracker that tells you when you're, how long you sleep, how many steps you take. It's got a sensor in it, and so is this. It's got a sensor, the same kind of sensor in it. Then there's machines in LaPorte that have these sensors. This is an ultrasonic sensor right here that looks how far away stuff are. This particular sensor here is a color sensor. So you learn how to program it and say, hey, if I see a green color, I'm supposed to go. If I see a red, maybe I'm supposed to stop. So they have to write the code to do that. These are motors down here, and they have rotation sensors in them that you can say, let's make this. So one challenge you might give somebody, let's say, make that robot go 36 inches, and they have to figure out the circumference of the tire.
Wow.
And then they have to figure out how many turns they rotate that motor, and they can make it go 36 inches.
Wow.
There's a touch sensor in the front right here that if this bumps something, this particular one, if I write the program, it'll turn around. So you write your code on here and you send it over to this device, and then you can run the programs on this. You can make all kinds of stuff with these things.
Now, I'm looking at this Lego Mindstorms, and it's totally great. So you are actually putting this together. When I was a little boy, and Legos were just Legos.
Yeah.
They were just unbelievably little. Oh my gosh, look at how intricate the
Take a look at
pieces
these
are.
little
Check
parts.
this out, Mary.
That is
So inside of so you truly are putting this together, because I said
You
to
build
myself,
the whole thing.
how hard is it? I used to love doing this as a little boy with friends and with my brothers and
Yeah.
just family, because it's so much fun. And this is what I say. So can I ask, is this something that, you were talking about the young folks that were here yesterday, could this be something where maybe utilizing our mind a little bit more, maybe someone that, maybe in their wise years putting together and saying, I want to try something
So
different?
I'll tell you a little secret.
All right.
This one right here is mine.
Okay, awesome, and you're a young guy. I like this.
So I bought my own because it's so fun.
Yes.
It has kind of like these other ones, there's different levels of use, so you can take it to where you write your own blocks on here. You can write the code for these behind this if you want to. So this is actually a Linux computer that runs this thing. So you can learn at any level you want. So here's a book that's just about programming, and we have other books upstairs so it talks about how to use all the various blocks and how to do the loops, and each block has 20 or 30 functions. So this gets people, familiar with various types of coding, and pretty soon they're coding and they didn't even realize they're doing it. They've learned how to do it. They think, well, yeah, just put a loop in there, and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So we actually saw some of that yesterday, where they were coming up with some things that they had just came up with on their mind. I said, wonder if we could do this, and pretty soon you had it running.
How long are the classes?
The classes we had for this are about an hour and a half.
So someone would come in with really very little knowledge of what they're doing, other than wanting to participate. And they start to finish.
Yeah, we start from scratch.
That is incredible.
Lydia did a really nice job on the class. We first started to teach people how to plug something into the motors and make the motor turn around. And then now they're working on building this robot.
I just love the look of this thing, and
I
not
know.
only the look, just you could only imagine what this, apparatus can actually do. And I'm very fascinated, even at my age, by just the programming aspect of this and trying something different and new. Because again, I feel that stepping out of your normal life, just stepping into it and saying, I want to try this.
Quick story about a guy right here that it's called Zero to Maker. So this guy lost his job. He was a web person that did social media. That's all he did. He lost his job. And he,
My job's secure.
but he did, so what he did is he thought, I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to make anything or anything. So he said, I wonder if I could write a book about how to go from zero to maker and make products. And he and his buddy got together and they make this product now that's called an open ROV. So it's a little mini submarine that you can go in and explore caves with and things like, and they sell it. It's about $600 or $700. So they sell the kit, but he describes about this mentality that you're talking about. A lot of people, I don't think I can do that. But what he discovered when he was around like people in a in like a Spark Labs area, he could ask questions. He just learned all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
that he needed to learn to make his product. So we actually made a product, so it can affect the economy a lot in the local area. Plus, he has a thing in there, if you buy, we've had people come in and they say, well, I could just buy that instead of 3D printing it. And yeah, you could do that. But if you want to print one a little bit, you want a little different size or another one. So if you buy something, you get the item. If you make something, you get the item, plus you learn about how to do it.
Right.
Plus you got a story to tell.
Absolutely.
This is fascinating. This is unbelievable.
One aspect I'd like to bring up, and maybe it's a good time when you come to this table, you're talking about learning and improving your knowledge, and the library staff had this hurdle to get over. It's not that.
Yes.
Explain that side of it, because you guys are here.
Because I think that's an interesting part of it, and maybe it will encourage people who don't know about this technology, because we didn't know.
Right.
We knew we wanted to do it, but we didn't know how to make all of these things work. So we've done the part of, okay, I don't know what this thing is, but we know we want to learn, and we're committed to learning it, so that we can bring this to our community. And it's a way that we can really be involved and respond to what we're about here in LaPorte County. So this table, I think, sort of represents kind of where we started. This table over, that we just saw, that's our advanced class for us.
This is the Christie table right
Yeah,
here.
Christie.
Right here.
Look at the table.
Actually, this lane is pretty much the Christie lane.
I think we had maybe 2 or 3 meetings before, okay, these are the things that we're going to start with. These are the ones that we know we have some funds to purchase the items, because we didn't have this planned into our budget, so the money was not there, but we were fortunate enough to get some gifts and donations, and people, as they have found out that we're doing this, have been very generous. The equipment you saw over on that table came from a grant from the Unity Foundation. Part of it did anyway. So we're finding that there's a lot of support for this in the community, but this is kind of where we started.
I'm curious
yes,
which
this is
one
great,
started.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Which one was the
Start
first?
with the squishy circuits.
I think we got the little bits first. That was our first,
Was the first
that
kind
was
of
the first thing.
Both the Little Bits kits and the squishy circuit kits are in classroom sets that we take into the classrooms as a part of our Libraries 360 program, which is a partnership between LaPorte County Public Library and area schools. We've seen a need in the last several years for our lessons that we take to the schools to be very standards-based. So electricity they study in 4th grade, they study in other areas as well, but it's really a significant part of the science curriculum for 4th graders. So with this kit, which was put together by an engineer named Anne Marie Thomas, who works for the University of St. Thomas, she wanted to create a way for her children to interact with electricity and to learn about electricity. So she designed this kit with conductive dough. This dough with the food coloring in it is actually made with salt.
Is that like a Play-Doh?
It's a Play-Doh, and this was
a homemade
This is
Play-Doh?
a homemade Play-Doh, but actually just any type of Play-Doh would work, because that has a high salt content too. So it conducts electricity. There's a battery pack with 4 AA batteries, and then this is insulating dough. So this blocks electricity from passing through it. It's made with sugar. So we're able to teach the kids really quickly, in a very practical way, about the standards that they've been learning in class. So we take an LED and put it in, and so it lights up, and that's always like a big exciting moment. But if the kids put it in backwards, it's a way for us to teach the kids about polarity.
Hold on one second. Quick question there, because I'm learning as we were going
Sure.
along here. So you put it in the one way. Can you do that again to make it light up?
Sure.
Okay, so you put it in there. Okay, so why is it not lighting up? Explain that.
Okay, so we explained to the kids that electricity flows in a circle. It can only go in one direction.
Okay.
We explained it to them in 2 different ways, sort of like cars on a racetrack. They only go in one direction,
Sure.
or like a waterfall. Fish can't swim up a waterfall. It only goes in one direction. So the LEDs actually have a positive lead and a negative lead, and the positive lead's a little bit longer, so that's the way it lights up. But if we flip it around, it doesn't work. So that teaches the kids, that's a way of reinforcing that skill. The other skills that we teach about a short circuit and the need for an insulator to block the short circuit. And then we also demonstrate parallel circuits and series circuits. using
That
skits
is
as well.
incredible. That to me, it is, like you said, so simplistic, but yet the way you're explaining it, I have a college degree, and I'm like, this is incredible. This is just basic, but the way you just describe it, and then what age group are you teaching that?
This lesson is designed for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders.
Okay. So now this, to me, this apparatus will be wonderful, and my thought and theory here, will be, for people of all ages, because
Absolutely.
this is great to bring to, you guys do
Right.
things out all over the community.
Right, so
This is a great piece.
as a part of our Libraries 360 initiative, it's for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, but as a part of our outreach efforts with Spark Labs, we've taken it to assisted living facilities.
Perfect.
after
That's me.
That's
That's
exactly
what I'm
I'm
saying.
going next week to do a demonstration with 4-H junior leaders. But when we take it there, we demonstrate the technology in a little bit of a different way.
Sure.
We have a really structured lesson when we go into the classroom because our goal is different. We really want to make sure we're hitting those key skills. But when we go into a more relaxed setting, we still want to hit those key skills, but we allow more time for tinkering and exploring, and we allow it to be more participant-led with what they're curious about and what they want to learn.
It's fascinating. I'm curious as to this one.
I'm going to let Lydia take that one. Lydia's our little bit expert.
Okay, so this particular kit is called the synth kit, so obviously short for synthesizer. So what we're dealing with in this kit is actually different types of sounds and music. What we have the kids do, we have another structured lesson for this one, for that 3rd, 4th, and 5th age group when we go into the high school, or to the elementary schools. And what I have them start with actually is building with, we had an oscillator already. We talk about the different colors of each of these. The blue is always going to be power. The pink lets them control the different sounds. And then green is going to be our speaker. So hopefully it's not too loud. But when we flip that switch.
I like. That's so Rick Federici.
It is Rick
I
Federici.
love this. This is crazy to
That
me.
is
Well, I
really
love what you were talking about too, the different colors. That's
Yep.
easy for anybody of any age to
Exactly.
understand.
It's easy for Christy.
Absolutely.
Color-coded, mhm.
So great.
And what you can do is flip over the bottom of each little bit. And what you're seeing is that those circuits that those kids are doing, except these are all soldered on this time and nice and neat. But the kids can look and actually see everything that's holding it in place.
Wow.
And then it all snaps by magnetics, or by magnets. So if they don't go together, you're not doing it right. I like to tell kids,
I like that.
you're
That
not
is
going to
another
break
great
it by
thing.
doing it the wrong way. So I let them try and figure out it's going to be right side up when you read it, but they get excited. They try and put things randomly together. But this can take you all the way from changing the pitch of something. So when we do this, we actually go all the way up into physics, talking about sound waves themselves. I like to draw them on the board so they see what a high sound wave looks like and a low, and have them guess what's going to happen when they manipulate the knob here, and then also they can tune, and then they can change what type of sound wave it is. Is it square? Is it saw? Have them listen to it and actually identify, well, square sounds a little bit like rounder, while saw is actually jagged.
So what other kind of sounds, this is the other side of it.
you can
What
play
other, what
with
other
it.
kind of
Let's
sounds
hear
can we
you.
get out of this? This is great.
Yeah, so if you flip it, you can play with the tune, the pitch, and then you do see how that's a switch right there? You just got to get it with your fingernail that can go back and forth between saw.
So can you
and
demonstrate
square.
for us a few things?
So while we're doing this, Rick, look, you are stretching your own brain.
Oh, that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I love
That's
that.
exactly how
This
it
is
goes
so
again.
crazy. Is this available at every branch that you guys work with? I mean, or is this here at, here
We
at
do
this
have a
library?
structured calendar
Sure.
of available classes at laportelibrary.org. But we have created our makerspace right now to be very mobile. So all of our branches and locations can, and the people in the community can experience this just by, attending something at a branch. And so it's very mobile, very easily accessible to all.
We package everything so that it can be carried or wheeled or set up on a table, just like what you're seeing. right now,
When
so
you
that we
do,
can
when you
take
do
it.
speak of the classes, is that something that you should register for in advance, just so you know how many participants you're looking at?
Such as the Teen Tech Week, which is happening with the Lego robot this week. That was a registration because we have, we only have limited robots.
Right.
So, and then in other situations, we only, we have limited computers and such. But for the most part, demonstrations, they're open to all. But a lot of our makerspace do require registration.
All right, let's talk about this side, because this is fascinating to me. This is the one I went to right away, because I saw the Christmas tree, and then I saw the lights. I'm like, can we really do this? Can we really make this
Right.
thing light up? And I was just like, this is incredible. So this little guy's on there. Talk to me a little bit about this one.
So what this is a core maker skill, they call it, where you have to learn how to solder electrical stuff.
Okay.
So if you want to make something like one of those circuit boards, somebody's got to solder that, or a machine's got to do it.
So someone participating would actually do that?
Yeah, especially if you're making
Wow.
a small number. So as these products start out, and they make 25 of them, they do them by hand. They don't do them
Okay.
with the machine. They make 500 of them, they do them with the machine. So we teach people, a core skill is learning how to do soldering. And we take these circuit boards that have nothing on them, and we turn them we solder these LEDs and resistors. And as you heard earlier, you get used to the name of them. You get used to the polarity, and you get to learn what those little color bands are for on there. You get to learn a lot about using a hot soldering iron, which is about 750 degrees. So this is really fun because it's like, ooh, this is hot, and it makes a nice smell. When
I love that smell, little smoke coming up. I remember from high school, from
The smell-
shop classes,
Right.
that's what I love.
It smells like pine.
Right.
But the idea that it's a little dangerous is cool.
Yeah, I'm all about that
I was
danger
working
factor.
with a kid the other day, and he bumped us with his hand, not paying attention, and he goes, whoo, and there was a little burns formed right there, and he goes, don't tell Mom. He said, do not tell Mom.
It's the X factor, it's the extreme factor.
That's
It is, I'm all about it.
So we teach people how to use their hand-eye coordination and take that solder and solder these little solder joints with the soldering.
Yes.
And hopefully end up with a working kit. We teach kits. Jenny's taught some stuff that is, I think they made their own kits. But again, they get used to working with circuit boards, LEDs. It's inexpensive. Our classes were full for these. I think these were $9 a piece, something like that. And they were full. Not everybody's worked. And that's something that they talked about later that, I remember heard one group say, and they might have been prompted, I don't know, but they said, it didn't work, but we can sure tell Dad some cool stuff that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I'm with
they ended up fixing it, they ended up fixing it, what was wrong with it. But so that kind of gets people familiar with using some hand tools that are common. A wire stripper, duckbill pliers, little flush cutters, so they get to learn how to do that. They get to learn how to do it safely, so you don't flip a piece of.
And what's this little gizmo? This is kind of like
This is called a third hand, so it can hold on to stuff while you're soldering it, so you can take a couple
love
things
this.
and put in there.
So neat.
especially for those of us that, I wear glasses, so.
One of my
That's great.
favorite tools, and everybody likes this too. Is
Why?
This, I don't know, it's just cool. This is called a solder sucker.
I think that's why right
That's
there.
why.
The solder
This little
sucker.
thing here, if somebody makes a mistake, you push this in like this, and you heat it up with the soldering iron, and you actually suck that solder off.
Get out of here. That is awesome. They
Yeah.
never had this when I was younger
No.
doing this.
So that's a really cool tool. You can try it.
I love this. So what are we doing, pulling it
It's
out?
already, you just push a button now.
Oh.
And it just sucks
Go
that
ahead, your
solder
turn.
right off.
Hit the button.
I like that.
Yeah.
whole thing. It's
See, I
just so
told you, everybody
neat.
likes that.
Yeah, it's just really
Well,
neat.
and I was
But
going to say that.
that is, we teach safety with this. We teach a little bit about, we teach a little bit about how this works. It's surprising how good like people around 8 or 9 years old, they're amazingly good with their hand-eye dexterity and being able to hold, because you got to hold multiple things. You got to have the solder and you got to have the solder, so you got multiple things going at once. Like I remember when Jenny started.
He's getting thrown under the bus.
She's an ace soldering person now. But when she started, this one hand was always doing something else over here. It was kind of drifting off, and I say, where's that other hand at? Oh, here it is. They get to take their items home also when they finish them, so they do have a really, like I said, they have a story to tell, and it's interesting. This little kit, we have our kits are unusual too. We pick stuff that's kind of unusual. This is called a flickery flame kit. So when you get it done, you put this in a paper bag. It looks like the bag's on fire.
Oh,
'Cause it's flickering on the
neat.
inside.
Again, that's,
And even the name of the company is called Evil Mad Scientist Laboratories.
I love.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the kind of stuff that we're working on. So we try to find little things like that. Another key thing that we're doing is that the stuff that we're doing, we know that it works. We don't necessarily know how hard it is for people, but we do know that the stuff works. So they're going to be successful if somebody's helping them, and that's really fun to see people attack stuff that they don't think they can do. And
Well, that's what I was going to say. No matter if it's this apparatus or if it's this application here where you're putting things together and you know it's wrong because it's not going to work or it's not making the sounds, you're failing, but it's a good kind of a feeling because
Right.
you're learning new skills. You're stepping out of your comfort zone, and it's
Yeah.
be great for patients. We chat on the Younger Life Live segment all the time about Alzheimer's and dementia and different things like that, tying it in. This is great for folks, from the standpoint of using their mind.
That's sort of a natural transition
Sure,
into the
please.
makey-makey here, because we took that to a lot of outreach
This is
visits.
my favorite, actually.
One
I love this.
of our outreach services librarians, Tony Kester, said, we really need to be taking this technology out to the nursing home visits and out to our assisted living visits. So that's what we did. But before I talk about the makey-makey, I wanted to point out, Earl said that, that some of the participants are able to take those kits home. We're very grateful to our Friends of the Library group, because it's because of their support and the funds that we get from book sales and other things, we're able to provide those materials for folks to take home. So this is a makey-makey kit, and it's an invention kit that was designed by students at MIT because they believe that everybody's an inventor. And it's a really simple kit that just tricks the computer essentially into thinking that you're pushing a key on the computer when you push an item that conducts electricity that's attached to the circuit board with alligator clips. So it works with any device because it connects through the USB, so it just thinks it's like a mouse or a keyboard or something. So this is the makey-makey kit here, and I have this bottom one connected to the ground feed, so I'm gonna hold that in one hand, and then I'm gonna play the piano on these carrots. I sacrificed part of my lunch for this demonstration.
Oh my goodness, that is so
And then
neat.
this one came disconnected here, the green one. So the other thing we point out to people when we're doing these types of demonstrations is that, if I'm not connected to the ground, the carrots don't work. But this was one of the pieces of technology that we were able to take. I was able to assist Tony on the visit to Fountain View, and we were able to take this, and there was a pretty, it was
my favorite
It
story,
was a pretty
Jenny. I'm
touching.
gonna cry.
Don't cry. It was a pretty touching moment. One of the ladies was playing it, and she said, "Oh, I'm playing the piano again." And she had arthritis, and she hadn't been able to play the piano in several years. So, the mobility, the fine motor skills, it really, truly, technology is for people of all ages, and technology isn't a dirty word.
Right.
It's okay.
Or a scary word. because it can be.
Exactly.
It's intimidating, but I love this. So obviously, you could use anything. You
can
know
use-
where the carrots are. That's just the example. It doesn't.
Right. You could use anything. It's the water content in the carrots. that-
Okay.
do an experiment.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Experiment
So
time.
you're going to hold on to that.
Am I going to get shocked?
You're gonna
Don't alligator
You're
clip
gonna hold
yourself.
it.
Just hold on to
You're
it.
going to touch a carrot with the other hand.
Oh my goodness.
We're making music.
You're making music together.
Oh, I
made it.
love it. That
That
is-
is incredible.
it is.
Okay, so I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't care if you're 4 or if you're 85 plus. This to me, that would put a smile on my face, and I would literally sit there all day.
Exactly.
And do something like that. So when you guys put this together, you're coming up with this not only the technology, but ways to do this. This has got to be fascinating for all of you learning this for the first time, because this is the first time I saw this and I'm like, that's kind of unique.
What are they doing with the
What are they
carrots?
doing?
Yeah.
Really.
How often do
Okay to play
you?
with your food.
Yes.
We were
often
doing
do
a
you
field
actually?
trip with, we had 5th graders from Indian Trail come in, and I had forgotten to bring my veggies in, and so they were eating their lunch here, and I went around and all the kids that were eating bananas, I was like, can I have your banana peel when you're done?
funny.
And the teachers, they were coming up to hand me their banana peels, and the teachers kept saying, did you ask them for those? Don't give her your garbage. She doesn't want your garbage. I'm like, no, I need them. I need them.
Technology is definitely at the front view of our Spark Labs. We like to be able to offer that to the community, but a lot of mainstay maker things are also what we want to incorporate. Sewing, when we get a new space, we hope to be able to offer sewing as an opportunity for the customers to come in and learn. different skills with that. You know, you learn all about the machines, you learn about perception, you learn about how to make a pattern, how to, you know, spatial measuring. You learn all those kinds of things through all different maker objects.
Have you heard the job ads on the radio? This is something that I've heard recently, and I forget the employer, but one of the lines in the ad is, do you know how to use a ruler? Applicants must know how to use a ruler, and it's amazing how many people don't.
That's sad.
Know how to
it's
use
scary.
rulers. Well, it's, you know, some things are just skills that maybe you learned it when you were in school, but if you don't practice it,
Right.
Absolutely agree.
It's like the 4 years of Spanish I've taken.
Right.
You
Sí,
know,
habla español.
Bien.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about,
Yeah.
Shame on me, right? That's all I know.
Donde español?
Yes, I know the numbers too.
but you know, all these things let you practice or refresh your memory on those skills you learned a long time ago and maybe haven't perhaps used.
I love this next piece because
I know you do,
This
Rick.
is interesting and
Well,
really intimidating. I think.
this is something that, you
I
know,
gotta
we've
get out
got
of the way,
a lot of
start
folks that we
rolling.
surround ourselves with.
Lydia.
And I happen to see a piece of, you know, this really cool apparatus on, you know, a colleague's desk. And I said, where did you get that from? He brought up 3D printing. And last time in LaPorte County Public Library, they were in studio, they started bringing different things. Explain this 3D printing because I am completely blown away. And this is on the bucket list for me. I would love to not only learn how to do this, but I feel that this is like, this is the way, this is hip. Explain this.
We can check that off today.
Okay. I'm loving this.
3D technologies are how lots of things are made today. So they have CAD, it's called 3D CAD that we've taught here. And you notice how like these mice and things, how they look sleek and how a lot of products look sleek like that. They're designed on 3D CAD software. So we had a lady here, Pam Okusan, teach I think about 8 classes, or maybe it was 6. I think we had 8 classes where a student started out with no background, learned how to do 3D CAD, and they ended up printing an item that they designed on the CAD. To print, you have to have a 3D printer, and we have 2 of these. These printers were made by the people who work at the library. So
It came as a kit.
yeah, these came in. There was hundreds of parts, and we had one session where there was probably about 20 or 30 people there that built this printer from the parts, and there's quite a bit to it. I mean, there's a lot of bearings and gears and motors, and there's circuit boards underneath. They had to put all this wiring together. So they built these out of a kit. This is called a printer by metal kit. So that was a lot of people say, well, why don't I just get one that's already built? Well, because you know how when you build it, you know how it works, and you know how to maintain it and fix it. Plus, you start learning all this terminology about these bearings and these screws, and learn about thread types. And there was one little gentleman that I remember. He was probably about 8, and he learned the lengths of the screws in metric, like 4 millimeters, 8 millimeters. And we just ask him for one, and he would hand it to you. So that's really cool. You're learning that stuff. So we built these. We had one for probably about 4 or 5 months. And then I'll let you tell a story about another gentleman that
One of the participants in the class, who is a young man in high school, is in his senior year, and he had a project that he needed to do to become an Eagle Scout. It was the last thing. And so after attending the class and participating in the build of the 3D printer, he decided that his project for his Eagle Scout would be to raise the funds and do the project again. And so he was able to raise the money. He had a class at our Union Mills branch. People participated again. They built a second 3D printer for the library, and he went through that whole process. Wow. And he donated that to the library. So now we have 2 of these.
Oh, that's
That
fantastic.
is a phenomenal story of not only learning, but actually attending the classes, utilizing it for another great life skill. Obviously, the Eagle Scout is phenomenal.
Right.
And then let's talk about the making a difference and giving back
Right.
to something that he
Exactly.
was taught through you and your great team of
Right.
professionals. And then, of course, the skill itself. This blows me away. Can I just add, this is maybe a crazy question, but what would be the price of one of these printers? Is it big bucks?
no, these are about this one here was about $500. something like that. There's one now from the same company that's about $399, $400.
So here's the
The software that runs them is really sophisticated stuff. It's free. So they learn how to work in this 3D spatial software, and they can make items of their choice, or they can make a repair part or whatever. And so they learn a bunch of stuff when they learn how to work this software. The way it works is this filament is a plastic that's made out of corn. It's called PLA, stands for polylactic acid. So they make it out of corn. It's from right around here. It's biodegradable. So if you grind this up and put it in a treatment plant, it biodegrades. So it's a very advanced plastic. What happens is this motor right here pushes this plastic down through this heater, which is hot right now because I just touched it.
It's so hot.
Are we supposed to touch that first, young man?
It's about 415 degrees temperature.
Wow.
Yep.
And what it does is it's kind of like those things you decorate cake with, where you
Yes.
go
Yeah.
around like that. So you can imagine if you take one of those piping bags, I think they call them, and you squeeze that and you tried to you went around and around, pretty soon you'd have a column. That's exactly how these work. So it's spitting out a very small filament, about 15,000ths of an inch in diameter, and it's going around and building these up. And then they learn about these coordinates on here. So in school you had X, Y, and Z coordinates. So this is your X, this is your X, this is your Y, and your Z is up and down. So they learn about how that works. And there's actually a thing I can teach you right now. It's called the 3D printer salute.
Okay.
So you take your left hand and you go like this. This is your Y, your X, and your Z.
So this was made through the 3D printing. May I touch?
There, I can get it off for you.
Please.
So it's stuck to that.
Oh, I
So
see how that works.
how recently has this been printed?
I think
This morning.
This morning, yeah.
Okay.
Check that out.
That is so
That is
neat.
incredible, and I love the aspect of the safer environment, aspect of it, or, biodegradable and stuff like that.
Well,
Very green.
this answers the question that my son always says, how am I going to use that in real life? Well, you are, so.
Well, if you learn, I just read an article a couple days ago, that if you learn these technologies, you are employable right away. Because there's a lot of people don't know those technologies. They don't understand this 3D CAD. And people who draw flat CAD have a heck of a time making that transition to 3D. 3D is kind of like we pick it up and move it around and look at it.
Yes.
So if you learn this kind of stuff right here, you're employable probably even locally. If you learn how to put stuff together like this, and you can say, hey, I built a 3D printer, I know those technologies, you can do that.
Out of the 30 folks, your team that, was assembled to build this, how many hours did we spend, if you don't? And was
We
the
spent-
age group, was it from, 18 to wisest of years, or
We
what?
probably had age 5 to adults. We had a gentleman who was 92 who came in and watched.
Incredible.
Because he'd never seen one before.
Yeah.
There's the story.
He sat there for 2 hours and watched it. He said, this is just amazing. He was used to work in industry, and he was, I think he'd been a welder. And he goes, that's just like a MIG welder, the way that works in it. So he really enjoyed it.
One of the other things that happened too, I happened to walk down to see what was going on, and there were some young ladies in attendance in the class, and some of them, Mom, I want to be an engineer,
Right.
which I found to be a great,
That's rewarding.
great result.
It's funny you said it, because as you were making that comment, I thought, wow, for the youth of today, or let's be honest, for those that may be experiencing, going to a different time in their life, a different chapter, and maybe they're like, I've done this for 20 years, or I've tried this, and I've got my degree. This, to me, is fascinating. That's why I was so excited about the whole 3D printing, because this is where it's at, right here.
Well, and I mean, they're definitely trying to pull this into the medical field as well. Obviously, and it could be world-changing.
If you know how to use this, you would be able to print out an ear on a printer that printed cells. I mean, you would be able to do that. So it's not,
Wow.
so you would understand that technology and how it works. So I have a relative in Germany who works full-time for a big 3D printer company and travels all over the world showing people how to use them, basically. And they print out of metal. They print metal, and they print ceramic. So they print, you can even print a tooth.
My goodness.
That's incredible.
So it's an amazing technology. Alcoa, they print jet engine nozzles and stuff like that. You don't have to have any inventory or anything. If you want to print an expensive part, you just print it out when you need it, and if there's been a change, you print it out. So this is coming. This
Yeah.
is coming.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff you print toys, yeah, but you know how to do it. This looks like is this an iPhone stand?
I was going to say, it looks like a business card holder to me.
Could be.
Business card
I
or
thought that
iPhone.
could be a really cool business card holder.
Well, there's some organizations too that have been working at printing prosthetics for children because
Yes.
it's really hard for parents to keep buying prosthetics because they outgrow them so quickly. So it's a lot cheaper for them to work with these nonprofits that continuously scan the child, give them a prosthetic that actually is to the right measurements of the child.
That's a beautiful thing.
So it's a really hands-on, practical way. We've just printed off a few fun things here so far, but it's fun to teach kids, and I've been able to do a class with teens, and actually, surprisingly, my class was dominated by girls for both middle school and for high school, and they picked it up very quickly to download a file, to upload it to Kira, which we have here, and then to print it on our 3D printers.
How does that work now for these types of classes? Because I know when the LaPorte County Public Library talks about all the different things they have to offer, there are just massive amounts of classes going on nonstop. Maybe that's a question for
Maybe
someone.
you can get a shot of Christie's promotional piece there. We have the back page. You'll see we developed a logo for Spark Lab. And so if you pick that printed piece up and you look on the back, you'll find our maker classes. You can also go to the website and look there. But this is a really easy way. They're all in the back, and it'll tell you what location the class is being held, whether or not you need to register in advance.
It's just a great opportunity for families to come together, all while learning something new. And, usually there's that gap between, I usually even hand to my son, here's my phone, can you fix this for me?
Yes.
And
think we all-
he's
I think we all
20,
do that, right.
so you can kind of sympathize with the more mature customers in the community that really are struggling, trying to comprehend it all. They can come with their grandchildren, have a bonding experience, or with their whomever, and they can learn, the kids can teach them. It's just great.
A great environment.
So
A lot
great.
of programs they can come to by themselves.
Oh, definitely,
like that.
definitely.
What a great way to round off what I think is just a phenomenal hour here on Younger Life Live.
So important.
Stepping out of the box.
We're always talking about it's so
We are,
important to
we
learn
are.
new things.
Stepping
It's
out of the box.
Every age level, every stage of your own life, you should keep that natural curiosity. It's so good for you, and this is so much fun. And
We've learned
I
a lot
appreciate you,
today.
Right, I appreciate
Absolutely.
everything
We're
you shared
excited
with
you guys
us,
came.
and
Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I think we're going to have to make a little trip back here.
I
Maybe
think
take
so,
some
too.
classes.
We hope
maybe some good
so.
bonding. We
I would
love
love
it.
that.
We appreciate the hospitality here today. We appreciate
thank
the production team and everybody that's helped us here with Younger Life Live today. Well, it's time for kind of a wrap here.
I know.
I don't want to go,
I would
but
like to
it's-
play. Maybe
yes,
we could do
exactly.
some of these
Maybe
things.
afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm Rick Federici.
I'm Mary Anthony.
And thanks for joining us today for another great installment at the LaPorte County Public Library for Younger Life Live.